This is Mr. Harris, and in this video, we are going to talk about how to bring all expenses to zero. In the last video, we brought sales to zero. Sales had an accumulated credit amount of $8,472. So to bring it to zero, we have to put in a single entry here, sales, in the debit column to bring it to zero. So we have to put the full amount of sales into the debit column, and then the debit and credit would wash out. To equal up debits and credits in the journal, we put in this income summary credit so that we have a two-part transaction here with sales and income summary, one part debit, one part credit. So in our journal, debits equal credits. Something similar goes on here with expenses. Now, I've listed all the expenses here, and we're going to take a look at their totals right here in this income statement column. So as you can see, all of the expenses here, all of these are debits. So how do you think we're going to bring them to zero? Just a hunch. Let's put them in the credit column individually. So we're going to put each amount in the credit column here, starting with advertising expense at $650. Okay, so all of the expenses now have their individual amounts in the credit column. Now you're thinking, well, what's going on? Remember, all expenses are typically going in the debit column. To this point, that's all we've known. But now that we're bringing them to zero, we're going to take the totals of each expense and we're going to bring it to zero by putting it in the opposite column. Remember, debit minus credit, credit minus debit. We take the difference between the two, and we want the difference between the two in this case to be zero. So each of these numbers are being brought to zero. Now, different companies will handle this in different ways, but for time's sake and expedience sake, we are going to put in one more income summary amount. Remember here, we brought all these expenses to zero, but now we have exactly $4,684 more credits and debits because we've added these numbers in. So now we have to equal out debits and credits in the journal. So under income summary here, in the opposite column, I'm going to put in 4684. That is the total of all of these numbers. It says down here, you can see it. Oh, wait, no, you can't. 4684 is going to be the total of all of our expenses. If I bring back the worksheet, 4684, it's right there. All of the expenses are equal out to that. So we have all these credits. Now we have a debit that's just going to equal out all these credits so that we have equality with debits and credits. Now, up here, sales was the debit, so income summary had to be the credit. In the next transaction here, all these expenses are credits, so the income summary has to be the debit. The income summary is basically the opposite of whatever the main set of numbers happens to be, just so that we have equality between debit and credit amounts.